Okay, so in this lesson of the tutorial, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about practicing your modeling skills. If you're like me and you're a modeler, see, like for myself, I don't really consider myself a a character modeler. Yes, I do a lot of characters in general, and that's pretty much where I spend a lot of my time, is doing character modeling, character sculpting, texturing. Some rigging, not a full pipeline rigging specialist, but yes, I can rig. But for this lesson, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about practicing your modeling skills, because it's just going to help later on. And like if you're like me, like I really consider myself a modeler, and a well-rounded modeler, and it does help to be a well-rounded modeler rather than just modeling specific, at least for me. So the general idea is, if you want to be a good modeler in terms of understanding how topology works and understanding how topology has to work proficiently, whether it's in a pipeline environment or in general, you basically just want to practice your modeling skills. And for me, I started out with like high poly guns or high poly assets for game engines, and doing skins for game engines, and it's helped me immensely later on down the road as being sort of a more quote-unquote character modeler. So the general idea, like I said, is just to basically practice your modeling skills. I would say just grab an image. It doesn't have to be an image of a fire hydrant specifically. It can be pretty much just anything from Google, anything you can think of, whether it's a product, whether it's I don't really have any real good explanations of what you should pick. Just pick anything general, and just practice modeling it through polygons only. Don't take it into ZBrush. Just do the polygon side of it. So in this lesson, I'll just go ahead and pretty much just block out a basic fire hydrant here, and start it there, and come over here, and we'll just rotate this 90 degrees. Turn down the subdivision levels here. Say it's probably going to be about 12, because I want to try to match the indentions here that are on the base of the fire hydrant. So let's go 12, and we'll just basically scale this down here to try and match the fire hydrant. And then we'll take this up to here, and this is basically where it's going to get a little bit tricky, because we need to cut in 3 sides here. As you can see, there's not a 4th side on it. There's only 3, so I'm just going to go ahead and extrude this up a little bit. Okay, and then out, and then I'm just pretty much doing this fairly quickly. This isn't going to be a really intense modeling session, so that's our basically general shape here. Scale that down, scale this out, and the key here is I don't want to do Boolean functions or Boolean functions, and I want to cut this in sort of perfectly. So basically what I'll do is I'll create another cylinder, which is basically going to be the size and shape of that front valve, and I'll just place it there, turn on 5, and basically turn on the wireframe so that you can see what I'm going to do here. Scale it down a little bit so that it'll fit in between. Okay, and I'll move it back so it's placed properly here, and then I'll just duplicate it, rotate it 90 degrees, move it out, and scale it so that it's going to match this other one here for the most part, and then just duplicate it and move it over, and I'll just go ahead and select them and add them to a new layer and make them reference objects this way that they're unselectable. And and then I'll just go ahead and start cutting out geometry of how I think it's going to cut in perfectly. So I'll just add an edge loop to try to match that one, an edge loop here to match the top, and then an edge loop to, oops, I drew that on the wrong side of that edge, my apologies, an edge loop there. Okay, and basically you already have your geometry that's fairly close and that's going to match, you know, fairly well here. So we need to basically just go ahead and extrude edges, and then we'll just, you know, go ahead and shape it. And as you can see, this is probably not going to match 100%, but it's going to be somewhat close. And I need to add an edge loop there so that we can match on the sides here. Let's just move these over, and this is gonna take and mirror on the other side too, so it's gonna be pretty much the same. I'm just gonna try to match the shape here. I'll show you what I mean whenever I go ahead and extrude faces here. Just grab the verts and make sure that they're all going to be even. Okay, do the same on this side. You can see that this is going to be a little bit more malformed than I thought. That should be okay. That's like really wide. So we'll go ahead and scale that down a little bit. And we need to do the front one here. And it's just basically try and make sure that you're going to match this properly. So I want to grab this edge, move this down. I'm going to add another edge here, and our two edges. Add that one there. I want to try to make sure that they're as straight as possible. Make sure I grab all the right faces. Turn this back to template because I want to be able to see through it. And then I'll just deselect the ones that I don't need, or I'm not going to need. So there we go. I'll just, you know, basically extrude. Grab these verts here, these ones here as well, and basically just move them down. And I mean, there's pretty much your standard shape for your fire hydrant. And like I said, I mean, this is going to help in the long run, especially if you want to be a really well-rounded modeler. You don't necessarily want to just be a character modeler. I mean, if you're a modeler, you really should be able to, let's say, model everything, no matter what it is. And we'll just go ahead and shape the last part of the fire hydrant here, and we'll call it a lesson. And probably just have to scale this up a little bit Same with this one. Scale that up just a smidge to try to match the other one. And then there, as you can see, I mean, there's pretty much your basic shape for your fire hydrant. Once it would be smooth, it would look fine. So I mean, we can go ahead and do that, and I'll just add a turbo smooth here to it, and there you go. There is your basic shape for your fire hydrant. Cooked up, you know, fairly quickly. So if you want to be a modeler, you know, just try and practice modeling things, and basically that's, you know, whether it be fire hydrants or just static props, just go ahead and practice, and the more time you put in, the better you're eventually going to get.